Shit.
Yes, good evening everybody. Welcome to the United Stand. It is Thursday night, and a Thursday night with a bit of a normal sort of vibe to it because this weekend football is back. It's almost time to do the international break is over dance, isn't it, guys? It's like, yes. And then the realization that we're going to watch United again and we have got no idea what's about to come slaps you back in the face. But we are going to be touching on Watford. We are going to be touching on Watford and what we think. Rodgers has been speaking today, the inevitable questions that have come around through speculation that's been circulating. We'll touch on that as well. Lingard not happy, surprise, surprise. Lots to talk about. With me today on the panel, Kev, how's it going, mate? Ready for the weekend, bud?
Can't wait. Bring it on. Bring it on.
Yes.
I've recharged the batteries over the international break and I'm ready to
stop
ready
the
for
fridge,
the pain.
mate.
Got a new haircut, Kev?
I have, yes.
Yeah,
fresh
like
trim
it.
and everything.
Go on.
Bring on Watford.
Yeah. We all celebrate international break finishing in so many different ways. Kev stocks the fridge and gets an haircut. Jay, how have you celebrated, mate? Football's back this weekend. Looking forward?
To be perfectly honest, I've got a large degree of trepidation because I know what lies ahead. It's going to be, we'll stuff Watford and the fan base will be singing all his praises from the hymn books, and it'll be normal service has resumed. Then the following week, Chelsea will play Chelsea. A week is stuffed and we'll be all downtrodden again. As the cycle continues, last week we were all chilled out and happy. And I just feel that by Saturday night, we get a win, but I'd be like, yeah, so what? It's like England beating bloody San Marino 10-0. We beat Watford. I'd be like, yeah, so what? It's Watford.
It's got that feeling about it, Beth, moving in. The unknown. I think we're all waiting on Ollie's press conference as well tomorrow. See what he says. I tweeted it out earlier on, Beth, and everyone came straight back at me. No, a bit of usual crap. Scripted, boring stuff. But, I mean, as we move forward towards the weekend, Beth, how's the sort of feeling? Are you getting excited about it? Or is it more of a nervous sort of energy rolling into weekend now?
See, I'm not nervous anymore because you can't really get any worse. I'm
sad,
but like we're used to it now. So what I'm trying to do in my head, I'm trying to have this positive viewpoint. I'm thinking to myself, you know what? Ollie's had a holiday. He might have suddenly realised that he needs to change his team selection. And until that team selection comes out on the Saturday, I'm not going to get too negative about it. I'm just going to try and get my hopes up for it. Get through Watford should be a good result. And then I can worry about the upcoming games of Chelsea and Arsenal and things like that. But right now, I'm just going to try and enjoy Watford and hopefully we can get the win. And we might see some people that aren't usually start. I mean, never say never. Miracles can happen, but we'll see.
That's it. I mean, this break has been probably, Kev, the longest international break out of all three so far this season. I think really because we've not had anyone in training. We all thought Ollie was going. We all expected a manager to come in. If there was going to be a change, it was going to be within this break. But I think Brendan Rodgers has distanced himself, possibly, some people would say in the headlines, completely from United. It would be disrespectful, he said, to talk about Manchester United now. Keyword there being now, mate. Brendan Rodgers, quite clearly from the speculation we heard and the rumours running around, probably wouldn't be interested until the end of the season, out of respect for the owners at Leicester and what they've done there and everything that they've been through together. In terms of that, Brendan Rodgers' interview, Kev, pretty much as you'd expect, sort of say what you have to say and then move on and see what happens. Probably trying to string it on, milk it out till the end of the summer.
Yeah, well, just to touch on, it has been a strange international break because, as you say, and we spoke about it before, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, the IKEA bag, you know what I mean? You can fit all kinds of... I thought he was gone. Takes off on an aeroplane. And then all the stories have been coming out. Obviously, we're hearing Zidane is learning to speak English. And obviously, Brendan Rodgers was the main one. Brendan Rodgers is not going to come out in a press conference. I would have been very surprised today on he's got a game in a couple of days with Leicester for him to come out and say, yeah, I'm going to Manchester United. Of course, he's going to talk it down. You look at it however you want. The press will be looking to feed off anything. They were obviously going to ask him questions about Manchester United. The way I look at it, it would be the end of the season for Brendan Rodgers if he was to take over. And personally, I think there's better candidates. If Manchester United are willing to wait until the summer and put us through more kind of punishment until then, there's probably better candidates that would be available in the summer. If Brendan Rodgers was to jump ship now at Leicester, and a lot of people have said he won't do it because he doesn't want to leave Leicester in the lurch. He did it with Celtic. He left Celtic halfway through the season to join Leicester. So I firmly believe that if the opportunity comes, he would jump at the chance to manage Manchester United. We will have to see what happens. A lot of people are writing about the fact that Watford, if Manchester United don't win this, it's kind of Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's last game in charge. And the writing would be on the wall. I mean, not to win at Watford, and then you've got a lovely game at Stamford Bridge away to look forward to after that. I mean, it doesn't get much better than that. The pressure will be immense. But touching on your point, Brendan Rodgers didn't expect anything more, anything less, really. I think he's played it exactly how he had to, and he's still contracted to Leicester, so he's certainly not going to disrespect them and say anything out of order.
It's not real, he says, Jay. It's not real, so why would I talk about it? Brendan Rodgers says. Distancing himself, concentrating on the Leicester-Chelsea game coming up this weekend. You'd expect a manager in a position of his standing now at Leicester to say them sort of things, wouldn't you, Jay? I mean, I think we're all, in the last video, we said it ourselves, mate. We succumb, haven't we? We succumb to nothing really happening unless it turns into a disaster with Ole until the end of the season.
Adam, you're spot on. Like, Rodgers, no manager gets to manage a Premiership team unless they're a pretty astute and capable individual. Rodgers knew at that press conference that every syllable that comes from his mouth is going to be microanalyzed by the journalists, by the fans, and by social media. So he's going to be very measured in his response. So I didn't expect anything else from him. He's not going to say, "Oh yeah, if United come in for me, I'm gonna jump ship." He's not going to do that. Also, he's preparing for a big game himself the weekend. I would go along the line with what Kevin said there. If we have to sit through the turgid football produced by Solskjaer between now and May, and we still just get Brendan Rodgers, I would take that as a disappointment. I think we should be looking at a higher level manager than Brendan Rodgers come May. And, for me, it's got to be Ten Hag or Zidane or my preferred choice, Luis Enrique, but I don't think we'll ever get him. Obviously, during the national break, there was 9 days wasted, and we did a large portion of our last show on it, guys, that we all agreed that should have been in a training camp. That was Solskjaer's time to, I suppose, somewhat make amends tactically for his shit show since August. We didn't do that. He was fishing in Norway. He was riding bikes. He was having great crack, probably shopping in IKEA. He's back now. We've seen all the photographs on Twitter, all the shiny, happy faces, playing five aside. Everyone's happy. The club would have you believe that. But I believe, guys, those players aren't happy because I believe those players, like your Ronaldos, your Brunos, they're there to win, not finish fourth or fifth. So my fear is that Solskjaer stays in situ until May. We will not finish fourth, and we're going to have a mass exodus of the playing staff come May. So whatever manager comes in May has to deal with yet another rebuilding job. And would the Glazers be as fast to give a new manager the 400 million that they gave Solskjaer? I don't think so.
Not a cat and nails chance, mate.
I was going to say, Adam, the stories, right? And I said this probably a couple of months ago. The stories have started to break now, which I did predict. And I said, once these come out, there's kind of no way back for it. I said, for starters, Ronaldo will be a major problem for Solskjaer because he won't know how to deal with somebody who's so popular and won so much. And you're getting the stories now about coaching, players unhappy, players being told, stay at Manchester United but getting no game time. So they're the stories now that have probably, they'll be the, what do you call it, the straw that breaks the camel's back.
Yeah, before I come to Beth, let me just see that gear you've got there, Jay, mate. It looks like a right little setup there with a little teapot or whatever you've got there, mate. I'm loving that, mate. This is my coffee pot.
and there was 4 dessert spoons of espresso was put into that before I started tonight. Because when I finish this gig, guys, with you guys, I gotta go training at 9 o'clock when I come off this. So I need my coffee.
I was going to say then, you must be heading to the gym, mate, if you're eating that much caffeine, seriously.
Yeah.
No sleep
Adam, you know the drill. You know the game.
Yeah, I do, mate. I do. God, I couldn't drink that much caffeine at night. Christ. I wonder if Ollie's been getting any sleep, Beth. Like Kev said then, the rumours are out now. He's got to deal with that. He's going to, well, he probably won't, but there's got to be some journalist out there with the balls to actually ask a certain question when the press conference comes about tomorrow. Beth, are you expecting anything different from Ollie in the press conference? Even he knows that questions have got to be asked now. And why the holiday now? We've all been asking the question. Do you think anything like that's going to come up in the press conference tomorrow?
I think things will probably come up. They'll be very well worded. PR machine, you know what it is. They'll be well worded, but there will be subjects along that lines. But I think we're just going to get the same answers as we usually get, like just the PR answers that don't really answer the question. He'll just avoid it, say he's happy, he knows that he believes in the squad believes in him, and they're just going to carry on. That's what he'll say. He won't address the rumours. He'll just say he believes in himself and he believes he can turn it around. That's all he really can say. He's not going to sit there still in a job and say, oh yeah, to be honest, like, yeah, I probably will get sacked next week. He's not going to say that, is he? But I do think he is on a thin line, and he will know himself now. Like, you can tell with each press conference, even though he's not let anything like slip, you can tell the pressure's building and building. And I do think at this moment in time, we are a couple results away from it finally happening. I think, like Kev said, once these rumours start coming out, you're only a bad result away from it happening. I know the people are saying that won't happen till the end of the season, but losing to Watford after all the results you've had, that'd be absolutely huge. And on to Brendan Rodgers, exactly like I nearly said K then. Kevin J said, like, he's not going to come out and say that, you know, he's leaving Leicester City and he's going to Manchester United. And when we had Romano on the show, he said the club haven't spoke to Brendan directly, but there's been agent talk, and he's going to say it's not real because the contract's not there for him to sign. It's nothing's happened yet, but he'll know that he's in contention for that job. And like Kev said, I think he would take the job midway through the season if it was definite. I think it's just Man United that are kind of weighing up their options at the moment, and they don't want to kind of hit that button. But he's going to be respectful to Leicester, and I think he answered the question pretty perfectly, to be honest. He was respectful to Manchester United as well as being respectful to Leicester. But Ollie he'll know now, like, he'll be going to bed like every night thinking, like, shitting himself, basically. So we'll just have to see what happens.
Yeah, he's looking baggy under the eyes these days. I will say that, old Ollie. Eric, legend, mate. You're more than welcome, my man. I have met you outside Old Trafford as well, mate. Top guy. And we love you too, mate. We love you too. Moving on. We had the McDonough. We've now got the, what did he call it? Beth, the K in J and Kev. That's a new one for our repertoire on United Stands.
The K show.
I'm going to bring up these names.
That is the one. Guys, get your topics and questions in as well. I've seen a few of you asking Jay to touch on certain things as well about Maguire. We may get time for that towards the end, but do get your questions in for the panel as well tonight. But we talked about the training grounds, pictures being taken. I actually did see that picture of the Rashford, I think it was Ahmad, Sancho, Henderson, and one defender. I think they were playing there was a five-a-side game against Lingard and some others, and there was a reason for the picture. So before anyone goes schizo, and someone sent that picture to me and literally said, "Are they taking the piss?" That was the word, because we're all highly strung right now as a fan base. But on this, there has been rumours that not everyone at that training ground, Kev, has been, well, let's just say, happy with how they've been treated by Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. I remember Mark was reeling off a series of players that have been led up the garden path over the summer in terms of where Ollie's going, what direction he's going in terms of rotating his squad. Jesse Lingard seems to be popping up more than anyone right now. And again, he's looking like he wants to go out on loan and wait till the end of the season to go on a free. Is there any chance United can just cash in January, mate? Because obviously we know Lingard's done. We know he's finished. Any chance we could cash in January, or do you think it's going to be a loan deal? He is giving up like a lot of players have, and this is a problem that Ollie's made himself, mate. mean, you've talked plenty of times about Jesse, mate, and going. It's coming to that point now, mate, where the players are realising, I don't think I'm going to have any other opportunity than this January window. Otherwise, it's not going to happen at all. Can't wait for a new manager to come in, mate. We thought one was going to come in. I think they all hanged around. Maybe let's see what the new guy brings. He might like me. It's done and dusted now, mate. I think the exodus is going to start very soon, pal.
Comes down to man management. Said this about Solskjaer ages ago, and one of the main transfers was Jesse Lingard. Now, regardless of how well he played, and he did play really well at West Ham, his stock was as high as it possibly could be. And I think that West Ham would have paid the transfer fee that Manchester United wanted. And I also said at the time, we got in Jadon Sancho, and I'm glad we did. But I look at it at the minute and I think, why has Solskjaer bought him? We've been crying out for a right-sided player, and Solskjaer, for some reason, has not played him. And this, again, goes back to the fact of that 70-odd million, and you've got Jesse Lingard, and you've got a player like Declan Rice at West Ham. And I was banging this drum in the summer. Surely you could have come to some negotiation there and used Lingard, while his stock was high, to go in at West Ham and maybe inquire about Declan Rice. Even throw in some, all right, we'll sell him. But if Declan Rice becomes available, we want to be first in line. You know, that's how...
apparently at the time, Jesse Lingard was like, no to that deal. He did not want to be involved in the swap deal. I know it's not ultimately his decision, but apparently he was really against that. Yeah,
and we all sat here and said, well, fair play, he wants to come back and fight for his position. But this is where it comes down to Solskjaer again. Solskjaer's probably called him into the office, said, Jesse, you've been brilliant at West Ham. There is, a place in this team for you. I will get you into it. The thing is, there's too many players. The sums do not add up. So you're still telling Donny van der Beek you start the part of the plans. How many games has he played? He's probably telling the likes of Martial, Lingard, Jadon Sancho, obviously he spent 70-odd million on. He's probably saying, you'll be in the team as well. Eric Bailly signs a new contract. United only offered him. I like Eric Bailly, but I don't see him as a Solskjaer player, part of Solskjaer's plans. They've purely signed him and tied him down to a deal to make sure that they get a fee for him if they sell him on in the future. Don't want to lose him for free. And it's the same part that I'm sceptical. I think Zidane's a fantastic manager, but part of me thinks, are they just trying to tie Pogba down to a new deal? You've read these stories that apparently if Zidane comes in, he'll build a team around Pogba. Pogba idolise Zidane. And part of me thinks the way that Manchester United works, and I'm like, are they really going down the Zidane route just to try and tie maybe Pogba down to a new deal? Because for a fact United are terrified of losing Paul Pogba on a free transfer again. A £90 million asset, and he's just going to walk away for free. And it's business to Manchester United. To us, fans, we don't look, it's not really the business we're asked about. It's what happens on the pitch. But to Manchester United to lose Paul Pogba, there's a question I was asking myself the other day, and I'm like, the Zidane rumours, maybe there is something in it. Maybe they want Zidane to come in and build a team around Pogba. Pogba is a fantastic talent. There's no doubt if you can get him playing, confidence-wise, maybe Zidane could do that. But is it part of the plan to get Pogba to sign a new deal?
Interesting stuff, Jay. I mean, Jay, I would like to buy you a drink when you are in Dublin. We can discuss about the bullying of our poor captain, Harry. Great show. Cheers,
thanks, Thomas. Thanks, mate.
There's a lot trying to bait you up on the Harry Maguire situation at the moment. There really is. But Jay, on Jesse, it kind of looks at it. You look at it one way, and you want to sort of just talk about one player. And fair enough, when a transfer window comes around, Jay, you usually would expect to be talking about one, but you start talking about Jesse, and then just like Kev did then, mate, it rolls into quite a number of players, mate. And that's the worrying thing about it. It's like if we had one unhappy player, you'd be like, that's normal. But circumstances are right now, it's like Jesse looks like he's leader of the pack of quite a few, mate, right now.
Yeah, look, I've almost liked Lingard as a player. To be fair, he's come to the club. But as Ken pointed out, his stock was at his highest this summer, and it was time to let him go. I take best point that he did not want to be involved in a make-weight move for Rice. But at the end of the day, you're the manager of the club. You tell Jesse, listen, Jesse, thanks for your service to the club, but you're on a transfer list. You're going to somebody. It's a matter of we got X and Y club in for you. You choose which club you want to go to, and I'm not with you. But Solskjaer clearly told Jesse, I've got space for you in my squad. I'll give you game time. And we saw in that Carabao Cup game against West Ham, Lingard was just trying too goddamn hard to impress and to show to Solskjaer, I should be playing, I should be in the side. And I know he got the equaliser there against someone to remind me, was it Wolves? He got the equaliser off the bench. So I like Lingard, but his time to go was August. And now he won't go in January because West Ham. Thank you for clearing it up. I can't see him going in January because he can go in the season on a free. So who's going to pay 20-25 million for Jesse in January, knowing full well in the summertime, then get him for a free? And as you point out there, Adam, yes, it does go through the squad. Tellers can't be happy. Donny van de Beek, we could spend a whole show discussing Donny van de Beek. Ahmed, who I think we all rate and has massive potential. He's had like cameo appearances. He's looked tasty, but he never got a run of games. Jadon Sancho, the 74 million Pandora's box that Solskjaer can't fit into the side. Eric Bailly, as you said, he was given a 5-year contract. One of the chaps on my WhatsApp group sent me a message this morning. I don't know where he got this information from, but he said the average wage paid to the United squad players across the board, from Ronaldo right down the first team squad, is £164,000 per week. Now, obviously, the wages that De Gea and Ronaldo are getting skews that upwards. But we have a lot of very average players that don't play. And if the average wage is 164, that shows sparks of mismanagement, as we said many times, from the top down. And that comes right down from Ed. And Ed has this thing in his head that he puts players on his long-term contracts to solidify their market value, which makes no rational sense, because take your friend PJ, Phil Jones, Mr. Pink Boots, for example. He was given a 5-year deal on 80 grand a week. You couldn't, Kevin, as you point out many times, you couldn't give him away for a Mars bar and a can of Lilt. But the business model of our club was to lock in an average player on 80k a week on a 5-year deal. That's perennially injured. That was the business model. Eric Bailly, who I'm a massive fan of, I personally would like to see him play a lot more, but clearly he's not part of Solskjaer's plans. He got a contract only last May, so he can't be happy. The list goes on and on and on, which goes back to the point that I raised originally, that I can see a mass exodus of players this summer, and whoever comes in is going to have another rebuilding job. It seems that every manager comes into the club, we have a rebuilding job to do, but yet a large portion of the fan base laud Solskjaer for raising the standards. Standards to what? Top 4? Playing the United way? Bullshit. But to give him credit for he built the squad. Yeah, he built his squad, doesn't play a large portion of them, and come to summertime, that squad's going to break up.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's it. I mean, Beth, it came out this week, touching what Jay was saying there, then the wages are up by another 1.3 million. I mean, it's getting to a point now where where they must be looking at it going, who can leave? I mean, Jesse must be kicking himself, surely. I mean, he was top dog at West Ham last season, right on the cusp of everything that was going on with England. Look at West Ham now, and he'd have been a part of that and would have been pulling up trees, I'm guessing, again at West Ham. And now we're looking at him, same as what happened at the first half of last season, pretty much exactly, Beth. He's had his little cameos, and he's just part of that gang of players that we know aren't ever going to start a game, and they're going to be sat on the sidelines. The camera's going to pan to them every time something goes wrong. Jesse Lingard he's like I said, he's the leader of that pack now, and there's quite a few of them sat behind him, usually all on the bench. But I mean, do you think he's kicking himself right now with that decision in the summer?
I like Jesse, but realistically, no matter what Solskjaer said, you look at who's coming to the club within Sancho and Ronaldo, and you look at the squad, And yeah, I like ambition and everything like that. And I think he's got a lot of ambition. And I think he probably does believe in himself. But sometimes you've got to be a bit realistic. And I think he should have pushed for a move in the summer because, yes, he's a good player. And yes, he can be a good bench player for us. But realistically, he was never going to get into that first 11 when you've got Bruno, Rashford, Sancho, Ronaldo, Martial, other players that Ahmad, for example, we've seen him in training. He looks seriously good. I don't know how he's not even getting a chance. But when you come back to Lingard's situation, he's got the World Cup to think about next year. And he just missed out on the Euros when he was playing really well for West Ham. He probably just missed out because he hadn't had quite enough time there. But if he would have gone to West Ham this season and put in the same performance as he did, he would be part of that England squad and he would probably be going to the World Cup. I have no doubt about it. But he's lost out on that opportunity from probably having that ambition. And you've got to think to yourself, he definitely didn't settle to be on the bench. He must have thought he was getting first team football if he's kind of kicking up a little bit of a fuss now and he's a bit annoyed about it. I can understand the frustration if Solskjaer did tell him he'd get game time, but at the same time, you should be realistic. And because of how well he was doing at West Ham, the sensible choice would have to leave Manchester United behind, said, I've loved playing for you guys, but I've got to kind of do my own thing now, and gone on and invested in himself, done really well in the Premier League, getting to the World Cup team. And I think a lot of players now, they'll be thinking like that. Sometimes you think, yes, I'm playing for Manchester United, but at other times, you can be playing for a club that's not quite as big, but you can be getting a lot of game time. It's so much more better. It's so much better for an individual player. Like, look at Donny van der Beek, no fault of his own. He probably thought he was coming in and he was going to be part of the squad. He was told that. I said in my tweet earlier, it doesn't add up to me. We paid 40 million. Solskjaer convinced him to come. He was a great prospect. Real Madrid were after him. They refused to let him leave at the start of summer. Every time he's played, he's been decent. Yet he's still not getting a chance. And he's lost out on. He's lost out on being in his national team. And all these players, they're going to be looking at each other. Like Luke Shaw came out today and kind of said a bit of a controversial comment. They're all going to be looking at each other and be like, "Why aren't we getting game time?" In the summer, apparently Solskjaer said he'd play them more. That's not happened. So now the players are going to have less and less belief in Ollie, less trust in Ollie. And that reflects when you play the games as well, not having trust in your manager. If you just keep saying stuff and it's not happening, then you're gonna want to move away. You want a manager that you can trust and is going to deliver for you. 100%, he can't play everyone 90 minutes every week. And I get sometimes you've got better players, but there's players in that team that deserve a lot more game time. And do you know what? If they can't play any games, then they should be sold. We're not paying players to just sit on the bench and sit in the squad. Everyone should be able to come and play a part in that team. And if they can, then see you later. And that's it. And it's better for them and it's better for us.
That's it. I mean, talking there, a lot of people, Jake, I'll come to you on this one first, mate. Said that couldn't have been an Ole Gunnar Solskjaer shining with Donny van der Beek. You know what I mean? And then you listen to what Beth was saying then on the training ground. You've seen certain people. Fred and McTominay wasn't an Ole Gunnar Solskjaer shining. And if he's judging people off the training grounds only because, let's be honest, he can't be judging off what he sees on the pitch, the way he picks his team, because that's just shite, mate. Let's get it clear. So something must be going on in the training ground. The images that they put out, they make it look like everyone's all right and this certain player's doing good. But I wasn't having any of that. Donny van der Beek wasn't Ole Gunnar Solskjaer signing, mate. But even if it wasn't his pick and he was just available on the cheap and it was just hard to say no to, surely with Fred and McTominay in your team as well, and he didn't buy them players, mate, he inherited them ones. Mm-hmm. So what is he seeing? This is what I mean. This is what is he seeing? There's rumours, there's speculation here. The Mirror is saying that United, his coaching staff, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, are happy with the way Donny van der Beek is training all of a sudden. Wow. Mate, I mean, I don't believe anything that anyone comes out of it at the moment because they had us all thinking that Ollie was out the door as well. So I just want to know, mate. I mean, where is he seeing it? Where is he picking this team from? Because it's not from what's happening on the pitch, clearly. So someone's doing something on the training ground. And for him to say everyone's happy and putting these pictures out, again, it just looks like a big spin, mate.
Well, look, I think it's undeniable that anything put out officially by the club on their media is blatant, false, and misleading propaganda. that the aforementioned goldfish and sheep that I discussed in the last show will eat up like Christmas cake, and that's for them. And let them eat it up because they believe the lie. That's for them. Let them on. And there's millions of them. There's like what? There's 50 million plus followers on Twitter. Like, come on, and I reckon maybe half of them will believe whatever the club puts out. And good luck to them. If they want to believe that, let them on. Regarding McFred, McShite, Bust the Sofa #1, whatever term you want to put on it, the biggest indictment of those two is Michael Carrick, who we've said on many shows was a thinking man CDM, took over the number 16 jersey from my countryman Roy Keane, could read a game and spray a pass as good as Andre Pirlo. He's presided over McFred's training for the last couple of seasons. Okay, so I would hold Carrick very, very responsible for McFred. He has had ample time to improve the first touch and the passing ability of McFred. I know Mark almost says in the show, you can't polish a turd. That's fine. But surely you can improve someone's passing range from 5 meters sideways backwards up to 9-10 meters forward ball. Solskjaer is literally in cahoots with Carrick, because when your camera switches to him when they're on the bench, you can almost see them in conversation with each other. And then you go back to another image, it'll be Carrick will be in conversation with McKenna. And it seems to be everyone is having these little chats on the bench, but nobody can make a decision and make a tactical change when it needs to happen. And yet, you know what's going to happen to again, guys. We are going to see, I think, a 4-2-3-1, the habitual, with Bust the Sofa #1 in midfield and Bust the Sofa #2, Magaluf at the back. And that goes back to what the hell are they seeing on a training ground? Because they must be seeing worldly performance in training ground, because they're definitely not seeing it in a competitive game.
Well,
Matic, I know, sorry, Beth. I know we've said on a couple of shows, Matic legs have gone, blah, 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 blah. But surely, he's a professional athlete. He can play one game per week for 65, 70 minutes and then come off. And then, by all means, bring on Fred or McTominay.
And that's my
some of the best football we've seen this season was when Matic and Donny played together. Now, I'm not saying Donny van de Beek is Xavi or Iniesta reincarnated. He might be, but we haven't seen enough of the man to actually make a decision on him. And like any player coming to a club, they need a run of 8, 9, 10 games, and then you make a decision on them. But Van de Beek has not even got that. And the last 2 years of his career have been wasted by Solskjaer. And my heart went out to Donny during the week. You see the pictures of the Dutch players celebrating qualification of the World Cup, and Donny's at home in Manchester thinking, geez, what the hell, I should be there. Like, he's a professional player, and Solskjaer has stunted his career. That's your man and manager. That's Solskjaer for you.
Yeah, the only thing that I can think of in this situation is that with Fred and McTominay, in games, sometimes you see players that are very good in training and then bad in games, and players that aren't great in training and then excellent in games. Sometimes that happens. And the only thing I can think of, when I've seen McTominay warming up for Manchester United, when I've been at Old Trafford, he looks very, very good. And I always think, why can't he do that in games? And then you see Fred go off to Brazil, and he's putting in these great performances when he's under a proper coach. So maybe when the pressure's off and they're not playing in that system in midfield that you have in the games that Ollie plays, where basically just leaves them on their own in midfield the whole game, maybe they do look a lot better than what they are in games. But the fact of the matter is, these coaches are looking at the games every single week. And if they're not performing in the games, how are you not taking that over performances in training? Because they must be doing something in training. They can't be getting picked for no reason. So I'm thinking in training, they probably look decent, and then it gets to the games, and under Ollie's plan and under his management, they just can't hack it. And then you've got to look at yourself. And I also think, I don't think Carrick, I mean, I don't know, but he'll get some say, but I don't think he gets much of a say over the team selection, because I mean, he might be like bollocks. But all he said in his press conference a lot of the time, like, I pick the teams, my coaches don't pick the teams, I pick the teams. So it could be down to his favouritism thing. That's the only thing I can think of, because how can Carrick sit there and actually think that they're better than the other players? I can't imagine that happening.
You should be listening to input at least from other coaches. That's what they're there for. Yeah.
Do you know what? After the time, guys, you've got to listen to some of the players. You've got to be able to listen to the chat. You've got to read the room.
Well, you've got
to look at it. Yeah,
wouldn't it be your club captain? Would you go to Harry Maguire and say, Harry lad, you know, who do you think's trained well here? Who do you think deserves to be in this team this week? You think of past captains that Manchester United have had, and then you're going to call over this PR machine, Harry Maguire, the robot.
Well, this is it, Kev, mate. You look at it and you go, Ole Richelef. Well, not forget Ollie for a minute. Your captain pretty much is the manager's eyes and feel on the pitch. That's the old saying. But I think there's a lot of truth in that. He epitomises the manager. He is what he is. And you look at Ole, you look at Maguire, and you can actually see why we're going wrong, mate. Yeah. You can, because they're one of the same. It is. When it comes to the interview, there's no inspiration. It comes to the pitch. Maguire at the moment does not know what he's doing. He hasn't got a clue. And yeah, fantastic. Well done for the 2 headers in the England shirt, Harry. But I say it and I'll keep on nailing it. And Ricky can throw as many tactics and anything at me as he wants. But if you have not got the mentality to handle the pressure of that shirt, it doesn't matter what anyone tells you. And he should have realised that with Maguire. And he should realise that, you know what, there's a good player there, but maybe it's not as a captain. Yeah. Maybe he will get his game back if he takes that off him. And that comes down to what you guys were saying now between the man management and that. But, Kev, you look at it and you go, hey, Donny van der Beek's training well. The players are all happy with him, reportedly. I can't believe it, mate. I just don't believe anything that comes out anymore. I'm just like, proof is in the pudding, guys. Show me. Yeah. Show me on the pitch, mate, because I'm seeing players come over to us away fans in the stadium, Tottenham, Maguire, Scott McTominay, and I'm bringing them 2 out not to make a point and dig a deeper hole for them, but they were right at the front of the queue. It was like we'd won the Premier League title, mate. And that I'm looking at and going, I'm happy for you, lads, but come on. And that was what sort of came across as the Harry Maguire argument with his celebration in the week, Kev. It was like, are these guys really happy with this? If they are, then we're not going to get anywhere.
No. There's a lot of players that won't be happy at Man. We know they're not happy at Manchester United. It's clear to see. If you're going to work every day, and especially training for Manchester United, it's not enough for some players now. And I think we've touched on something good there, because we talk about captains and we have kind of slated Harry Maguire to an extent or whatever. But if you've got a good club captain, and that's the main man that sees everything that goes in in the dressing room, behind the scenes, the whispers, the training, everything. You know, you look, and I'm certainly do not even want to mention Harry Maguire and Roy Keane in the same sentence, but I'm going to do it. And I'm going to say, if Roy Keane was in this team under Solskjaer now, and imagine Solskjaer bringing Roy Keane, you know, into Carrington, into the office or whatever, and he said something along the lines of, I'm thinking, you know, this week at centre-back, Eric Bailly or Phil Jones, I don't know who to play. Can you imagine Roy Keane would be like, Phil Jones? What? Phil Jones? You know, he'd be like, and you sit there, and then he'd be like, oh, Eric Bailly. Of course, Eric Bailly. You know, it's a nonsense. He would just tell him as it is. It's
someone get the clips ready later as well for Kev's Roy Keane there, please.
I went a bit higher than I'm saying. My Roy Keane one's usually good, but you need a club captain who's going to have the respect. That's the main word I'm looking for. The respect of the other players. And I've been banging this drum for a long time now. And that's where the breakdown is at Manchester United. Apart from the fact we've got a manager who knows his back four, selects them, does that, and then whatever further forward, then it's almost like just put a blindfold on him, give him a stick in his hand, Mike Phelan and, I don't know, Michael Carrick just spin him around, And then he just sort of takes it off and hey, Fred, get your shirt, you're playing. And I don't know. It's just that's the way it seems at the minute. And it's complete and utter madness, especially when you've got a player like Donny van der Beek and that. And we're coming into what next year will be a World Cup year. So it's a massive year for certain players whose countries are going to make that competition. So we spoke earlier about a max exodus at Manchester United. It could be on the cards. Players like Martial and that will be looking and going, I won't mind being part of that France squad. If you're not getting a chance at United.
Jay, Kev touched on a point there with Keno. Do you know what, mate? It's like he does all his punditry. All right, Jay. Hang on, son. I was just getting myself all revved up for a brilliant point then, but I'll come to you instead, Beth, on it. It's like we listened to Roy Keane in the punditry slagging certain players off. If he was on the training ground and he was asked to do that, he wouldn't just slag them off because he doesn't know what's going on. But it's like Kev said then, if you had a player there that obviously the players respect, one who can hold authority, he would take a Fred or McTominay aside and say, look, you're not going to make it at this football club unless not, oh, you're doing okay, he's training hard, and it's all nice. Because it does look like the training ground's a bit of a soft touch at the moment. Do you think bringing in that sort of hardened character would make these players? Because we know we've got something. Or would it just be, it's got too far now down the line, everyone's that happy on the training ground and that soft-soaked, that someone like a Keane coming in, a drill sergeant, would just destroy us even more?
No, I 100% think they need someone to kind of tell them how it is. I don't think there's anyone there that's going to do that. I look at the characters and I feel like Ollie could possibly be harsh sometimes, but we've heard numerous times he's not that guy that's going to have a go at people and tell them how it is. And I just think that they need someone in there that's going to do that. I do think we've got a lot of talented players, but like we said a lot of times, and Rashford said this about Mourinho. Mourinho taught Rashford how to win, he says, and you need someone to do that sometimes. And I think a lot of them players are happy with, winning matches and getting top four and playing Champions League football. And I don't think they've got the bite that Bruno, Ronaldo have. They want to win everything and they need to win everything. And I think that needs to be drilled into the players first and foremost. And I also think when you look around the squad, I think you should be, I know McTominay gets picked because of his passion, his desire, and how much he wants to win and stuff like that. But you need to look at that all around the pitch. And if players haven't got the right attitude, they need to go. It's like they need to go, but they need to be told. It's like we've seen Luke Shaw over the past couple of weeks, and we spoke about it. He's looked like he's not bothered. If I was Ollie, he'd be straight out for a few weeks. You can't be having that attitude playing for Manchester United. Every single game is a cup final, and they need to not be relaxed. They need to know their place is in jeopardy, and they need to be on the toes 24/7, like every single player would be with Roy Keane as the captain. They wouldn't be disappointing Roy Keane. They wouldn't dare, because they know what stick they'd get when they got back into the dressing room. And I think a similar approach could be had if we had someone in that changing room that the players were afraid to go back and disappoint. I think when they disappoint Solskjaer, they know that they're not going to get too much stick, and they're just kind of going to bounce back from it. They need that person that they can't disappoint. And I think Ronaldo becoming captain would be a start to that. I don't think Harry's going to go back into the changing room and give everyone a good bollocking. I think he'll kind of act the role and he'll act annoyed. But next thing you know, come on, lads, back to it. And sometimes you need someone to really give you a little bit of stick to kind of make you realise. Because often at times, I've been given stick before, and when you've been given stick, you're like, no, what the hell? And then you go away and you think about it and you're like, oh, you know what, to be fair, yeah, and you up your game. And that's what a lot of these players need. They kind of got the head in the clouds a little bit, I think.
I mean, Jay, mate, I was just going to touch on that with you there before you disappeared, mate. Would you be for a Roy Keane, a drill sergeant type of character coming into that training ground? Or do you think it would just break this, what looks like a very soft-centered sort of culture around the training ground at the moment, and make us even worse?
I think it's a culture problem at the club at the moment. The phrase I used on a previous show was, we're spineless. And I believe as a team, we're spineless. Touching on a point earlier on that Bet made about what's happening at training, and it jogged a memory that I had. When I raced bikes professionally, we had this saying, right? It was the guys that were great at training. They were superstars. But when it came to an actual race, when they have to make decisions, when guys are going around them at 60 kilometers per hour, and put their balls on the line, they just couldn't do it. And the phrase we had was, he trains like Tarzan, but races like Jane. Now, I know in the current context, people are going to say, oh, Jay, that's sexist. It's not sexist. That's just the phrase we used. So I can only deem that McFred and Tominey must be absolutely war beaters in training. They can't do it in the pitch. So that's just something, that memory that you jogged for me there, Beth. Regarding sending in Roy Keane, yeah, I'd be all for it. But I don't think the players, looking at what I've seen of them in interviews. Now, Ronaldo apart, probably Luke Shaw apart, and Bruno, De Gea. Apart from that, lads, I don't see any leaders in that team. So maybe if Solskjaer had the nows, maybe not so much Roy Keane, because Roy would tend to get very, very animated, but maybe start bringing in motivational speakers, other elite performers from other sports. Like why can't they bring in Tyson Fury? Tyson Fury, huge Man United fan. I'm sure he'd love to come in for an afternoon and give a motivational speak. Why can't Tom Brady on a Zoom call and give a motivational talk to the players about elite performance and about winning?
I agree.
I'm sure.
Something like that.
Seriously, right? Seriously, think about it, right? Like the Irish rugby team. Obviously, I'm a big rugby fan. I follow rugby very closely, but as Ireland got more successful, they started bringing in speakers from other sports the day before the game, just to throw a little bomb psychologically into the minds of the players to set them off. Seems to work because Ireland, to be fair, they're successful. So I think as a club, as a culture, it's become soft. It's become acceptable to go out and give a 6 out of 10 performance. And if you got 4 or 5 players giving 6 out of 10, well, you're screwed. You can carry maybe 1 or 2 players out of 11. You can't carry 4 or 5. And I think, guys, since August, we have had the vast majority of those players. De Gea apart. I don't include De Gea in that because he's the 8 out of 10. But I think those players as a whole this season, consistently 6 out of 10 most of the season, guys. So it's a soft centre that's developed under Solskjaer, because just going through the motions, just doing enough, and then getting that worldly moment from a Bruno or latterly a Ronaldo has gotten Solskjaer through. But there is no backbone in that team. And you touched on it, Kevin. You said that, and you're correct, that Maguire is the manifestation of Solskjaer on the pitch. Now, Beth, I'd ask you, right? You're from a younger generation than I am. Would some say Maguire came to your business where you work? I don't know what you work as, but say hypothetically he came to where you work to give a motivational speak on how to achieve. Do you think people from your generation would sit down, listen to Harry Maguire?
Not the way they'd listen to other members of the team. No, Maguire's a bit of. The thing is, I think Maguire's a decent centre back. I actually do, and I think there is someone in there. I 100% do. But I think this captaincy and kind of all the pressure it's put him under at Manchester United, and the way he acts at times in interviews, it's made him into a little bit of a laughing stock to our generation anyway. And like United fans get ripped for it basis, and it's like you've got people who Maguire associated with liking tweets about Roy Keane for his national team versus Harry Maguire for his national team. I mean, if that's anything to do with Harry Maguire, what kind of attitude do you have? Seriously, you've got to be able to take the criticism, and you've got to be able to come out and take it and improve. Like, it's fine, you can make a mistake, you can come out and do that thing, whatever, put it right in the next game. But it seems to be a lot of like defense over the criticism, and I don't like that. Embrace the criticism and go out and make yourself better. Take it on and go forward. But to answer your question, no, I don't think many would take him seriously.
No,
Adam, that's why I deliberately asked Beth that question. It does. I asked Beth that question deliberately because Beth's from a different generation than us. You know, we're literally three.
Jay, yeah.
But Bet is from a different generation. So that's why I asked Bet that question directly. Like Maguire, can you imagine Maguire trying to give a talk to likes of me? But like, young lad, sit down, shut the fuck. Young lad, sit down, young lad. You know, seriously.
Do you know what?
Let me throw a curveball in.
Like you said,
Jay, let me just counter that.
Go on,
Harry Kane is the captain of Tottenham, right? And if we're going off the way that people sound or the way they come across, I mean, I watched that documentary with Harry Kane in the changing rooms. I thought it was hilarious when he was giving his motivational speech to the team, and I was like, is he being serious, man? But Harry Kane is different because he backs it up on the pitch.
Yeah,
precisely.
Will look to and be inspired.
Yeah.
You know, Eric Cantona wasn't incredibly vocal on the pitch, but he had that aura about him, and players respected him, looked up to him.
Yeah.
There's different kinds of captains. Not for 1 minute are we all insisting we need this mad Irishman.
Maguire acted the way he did, but put 10 out of 10 performance in every single week. No one would say a thing. But it's the fact you're not like if you're not doing well on the pitch, you've at least got to have that leadership, that voice, that vocality. If you've got none of it, then what is it?
It's like what Kev said then. Kev, you mentioned it then. It's like Cantona and his captaincy. If anyone reads Roy Keane's book and the line where he says that we had characters in our dressing room. He says, I could stand up, I would take anyone on. He says, one thing he did do though, he said, when Cantona walked in the changing room and when he stood up, you sat down. It's as simple as that. That is what you call a leader. That is a Kev, a Jay, and an Adam leader. I don't know about Beth. Beth might not have been there. But if you haven't, there you got to just look at that. And the generation thing does come into it. I do understand that. And when you mentioned Tom Brady there, I couldn't get the film Ted out of my head, Jay, honestly. And I was just I'm like, oh, no. But moving on, Ed Woodward, how long he's going to be at the club in a role where he comes out and speaks. I mean, he destroys me more than what Ollie does when he opens his mouth. I mean, we are fully determined to putting success out on the pitch with Ole Gunnar Solskjaer in charge. Kev, that starts this weekend because we're all the way through now, 4 months straight. No fishing trips to hide behind now for a long, long time. So the press conferences are coming thick and fast, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. And if the performances aren't right on the pitch, then questions are going to get harder and harder. And you know what? A lot of people say that he's lucky, Ole. And you know what? He kind of is, that he doesn't have to sit in front of all the pressers and everyone face to face at the moment, because he can't just turn the button off when everyone's got their hands up on the screen saying, I've got a question. And then your PR person says, any more questions? No? Okay, off we go. See you later, everybody. But moving on. Kev, this weekend, mate, what are you expecting, honestly, mate? I mean, are we going to see different faces on the pitch? We're going to see a reaction from these players. Give me your sort of thoughts going into Watford, mate, before we finish the show.
I would like to think we should be good enough to beat them. I really do. And the horrible thing is, I've always maintained, obviously, I don't want Manchester United to get beat to see Solskjaer sacked. I think that will take care of itself at the minute. So as a Manchester United fan, I go in on Saturday, hope that we win. I do actually think we'll win. What I don't want it to do is deter from the fact that nothing really much has changed. We've had a week away or whatever, and for me, my feelings are kind of still the same. And as I reiterate from previous shows, I'm still at the part of that relationship where I've kind of accepted that it's probably just best for the both of us if we both just go our separate ways. And no changing of a result on Saturday, really, it doesn't really change much for me, because I really do think it's going to be 1 step forward, 2 steps back. If we beat Watford, we've got an incredibly tough game then against Chelsea, which I wouldn't really expect us to be going there and winning. But it is Manchester United. Funnier things have happened. Do I think he'll change the team up? He should do, because I think he's drinking in the last chance saloon. He really should do. He should be looking at the players that are performing in training and not sticking with players that his favourites. We've always said it, haven't we? Ole Gunnar Solskjaer has his favourites, but why is he sticking by him? We're on a dreadful run of form. We are not playing good football, so why not look at changing it? And none of that 3 at the back or 7 at the back crap against Watford.
Stop.
We go for it. I want to see. Of course, I'd love to see Donny van der Beek in that team. Will he play him? I just think he'll revert back to if McTominay's fit and Fred in there as well. But yeah, like I say, if we do beat Watford, I'll be delighted. But I still feel that I'm in too far now where I've gone, no, I think United need to make a change. And one thing I will say about the press conference tomorrow, and it's one thing that I really hate about modern day football at the minute, and you just know for a fact that the PR at Manchester United will already have written down every possible answer to every single question they know is going to be fired at Ole Gunnar Solskjaer tomorrow. And that is no different. This is coming down from the top all the way at the bottom. I was looking at that Phil Lynch the other week, the fella who does all this social media bullshit for Manchester United players. The players are robots. They're not even real. We can't even... Twitter used to be a great space. Absolutely great platform. You used to get players reply to you, put out exactly what they feel. And now it's all just too nice, no negativity, the snowflake kind of community and all that. And it's all about positivity. Sometimes you want a bit of realism. You want a player to come out and say exactly what he feels, but they're being gagged. They can't say anything. And even our own manager now, to an extent, is a puppet because he'll have everything in front of him tomorrow. Any dodgy questions will be swerved, next question, please. And it'll be fired over to somebody else. So it won't even be a tricky press conference for him tomorrow.
Exactly. They might as well just have a little, like someone from the club just reading it out. You might as well just not bring Ollie.
Yeah, that's it. I mean, past that, Beth. I mean, Sancho at wing back. No.
Don't even get me started. If I see 5 at the back against Watford, I'm turning my TV off. I honestly am. That. But genuinely, about Jadon Sancho though, did anyone see that training video of Ahmad and Sancho?
Yep. Ahmad and Sancho
performing like that in training and not even like. But Sancho should be getting game time, but Ahmad to not even be on their bench, not even getting minutes. Ahmad and Sancho looked on the same level, and they both looked amazing. Like Ahmad on the right wing, like the way he was, his close control. Sancho, the way, like I didn't know he had them like kind of like shots in his locker, but the way he was hitting targets and taking the skills around players. I mean, I know it was only a training game, but them two stood out above everyone else who were all first team players. So I was like, I don't understand how they're not even getting a chance, but. For me, tomorrow against Danny Rose, Sancho's got to get a chance in that team. Surely he could really start. He came from that academy as well. He could really start his Manchester United career on Saturday. I think if he gets given that chance.
I mean, Jay, for you, mate, looking ahead, is it going to be a case of the players that stayed and trained are getting in the team, the players that went on holiday, and Ollie's little trick that he played on them all or not? What are you saying, mate?
Well. Tomorrow, if I was at the press conference representing United Stand or the radio station I work for, I'd simply ask point blank, Ollie, who let you in the building? How you still here, mate? I know I get banned, but it'd be worth it.
I've got a question, and today it's
if you weren't getting banned, how are you here? Why are you doing here, mate? Why are you still here?
You'd have to own the radio station to ask
I would. It'd be worth getting banned. It'd be worth getting the ban. No, look at Watford, front three of Sa, Josh King and Dennis. They're trying to listen to the break. They use the speed up against Maguire and Lindelof. I don't know enough about their midfield to even comment. I genuinely don't know. They've got Ben Foster and goals, decent enough goalkeeper, ex-United player. As Beth said, I'd love to see Sancho start on the right. I'd start Cavani in the left because Rashford won't track back. And I'd start Ronaldo. In the middle, if he plays a 4-2-3-1, it'd be Matic and Donny, which you won't see. Bruno picks himself. I'd love to drop Maguire, but that's not going to happen. I'd play Bailly. And we know that the left backs and right back pick themselves. I think he's going to revert back to a 4-2-3-1. He has to. But he's got to try. He has to retain that ball in midfield. We're going to have a huge amount of possession. Watford trying to listen to break. And it's the old adage, can United break down 2 blanks to 4? And will our players have the guile to break down Watford sitting back at home? Time should tell, but I would definitely love to see Cavani, Jadon, and Ronaldo as the front three. Yeah, I'd like to see Cavani and Ronaldo rotating together between the forward and the left, just rotating. And we know we're going to get from Cavani, and also obviously Jadon as well will track back and will press. I feel if he goes with Rashford and Mason, neither of them will press. Then we have Ronaldo not pressing, so we have 3 players out of the 10 outfield players not pressing, and then I think we could be done on the break. But we shall see.
We shall see, guys. We're pretty much at the end of the show. We've got plenty coming up. Obviously, a press conference tomorrow. You'll see me talking about the press conference tomorrow, which should be fun. I have got something special lined up for the road trip as well, guys, on Saturday. Do tune into that. So, yeah, judge me on that one if you want. And then obviously,
it'll be worth watching. I know what
everybody will be back this weekend in some form on the show that you're seeing right now, because we're all hoping that we can actually be talking over a good performance and a win for United for a change, and our weekend's not being ruined. But until then, guys, Kev, cheers as always, mate, for coming on.
Thanks very much, mate. I'll be back on for the fan forum straight after Watford on Saturday. The powers that be are letting me host it, believe it or not. So God knows what's going to happen. Might be the final appearance on the United stand. You never know.
Which one's that on, mate? Sorry.
The fan forum Saturday after Watford.
Fan forum.
Yeah.
Guys, tune in. Obviously, you can banter Kev there as well. His tag on Twitter is right there at the bottom of the screen, as is Beth's and Jay's as well, guys. So do check him out there. But Beth, have a good weekend. I'm sure we will speak over the weekend.
I'll try. Hopefully it's a lot of positivity. That's all I can say. Hopefully we end up getting the win, because God knows we need it.
That's the one. And Jay, you're going to be a busy man this weekend as well with work and obviously covering United. Let's hope we have a good one, mate. But always, thanks for coming on tonight as well, mate.
Pleasure as always. And look, it's a must win. We got rid of Real Tuesday night, so this is a must win. Like, God, end of.
Think about that.
Don't remind me.
Oh, guys, that is us done for now, though. Obviously, subscribe to the United Stand. Hit the like button on your way out. Well over 7,000 with us again today for the Thursday show. Absolutely booming. Hopefully, next week's, we're talking a double win against Villarreal and Watford, and things looking up, maybe. He's back at the wheel. We will see, guys. But for now, as always, cheers for tuning in, guys. We'll see you over the weekend. Thank you very much.